Right, hello on a very cold morning in Chippenham. I'm going to do a bit of a video on batteries because I've had loads of dramas with batteries with this bike. Nicely, a friend of mine lets me use his garage for about 3 months of the year. It's a pretty shit garage because it doesn't have any AC electrics in it, but I'll get on to that in a bit. So battery here, this is just your standard lead acid battery. I'm just going to go through a few things on testing and maintenance of batteries. So the first thing, useful bit of kit. This is just a standard multimeter. There's two things you're interested in with a battery. You're interested in the voltage. This is obviously a 12 volt battery, and you're interested in the capacity. The capacity for this is 12 amp hour. Typically a car would be double that at least. But this is a 12 ampere. Obviously you can get a battery that big that's 12 volts, but it's the capacity that we're interested in here. So, to test the voltage, you can use a multimeter, and you just simply put it onto DC voltage, check the two terminals, and there you'll see this is 12.63 volts, which is fine. If you want to see the capacity, if you want to check the capacity of a battery, you need something like this. This is a battery tester. It'll simulate a battery discharge. Okay, you won't be able to test the capacity with a multimeter. So with this, you simply, as you did with the multimeter, put it on the terminal, and you'll see it gives a temperature reading, volts, and then it'll give the capacity, which in this case is 17 amp hour, which is good. This is a 12 amp hour battery, but it's not unusual that it reads a little bit higher. It gives a chart on the side of this here, battery size in amp hours, and then replace that. So this is a 12 amp hour, you'd replace it at 7.8, it says there. It's not unusual to check a battery and find it right down in single figures, like 5, 6 amp hour, something like that, which means it probably only lasts a day, you know, without using the vehicle. So yeah, I've charged this up using an Optimate. These are intelligent battery chargers. They desulfate and they give it an intelligent charge, which is pretty good. I borrowed this off a mate of mine. I've yet to buy one. I do mean to buy one. If I had electricity in the garage, I'd have this plugged in constantly, but I haven't, so I can't do that. So I had to remove the battery, charge it with this, which is a bit of a pain. So I'm now going to put the battery back on the bike. Right, I'll put the battery back on now. So that's back on. I've got an Anderson power connector there. That's just so I can clip on my my LiPo battery starting device. Another piece of useful test kit. You can check the current that's going out of the battery with a multimeter, but you have to put it in series. So you need to break the battery connection, put it in series. Unlike voltage, which you check in parallel. But another useful little device is this thing here. This is a sort of voltage current clamp. You can put this round. It has to be one of the wires. You can't, for example, put it around a mains cable because you've got positive, well, neutral, live, and earth going through the same cable. But on a battery, you put it on either the positive or negative, and it should show you the current draw. And this battery tends to discharge itself quite quickly, so it's quite useful to see what the current draw is in its state now, which is just lying up. It's not turned on, it's not doing anything. So I'm going to put this around the positive terminals and see what kind of current I'm drawing. So it's on DC amps, and it tells me that I'm drawing about it's a bit iffy, about 0.1 I'd say. 0.1 there. So about 0.1 of an amp, which is actually quite a lot. If you just do a bit of simple maths on that, that's a 12 amp hour battery, which means it'll provide 12 amps for 1 hour or 1 amp for 12 hours. So that's 0.1, so times 12 by 10, 120 hours. That'll last about, so less than a week laid up before that battery will be flat. So that's a bit of a draw, but this is, you know, it's got the BMW alarm and the immobilizer and a few other bits and bobs. So basically what that means is I need to have some kind of battery tethering system, which luckily I've made. Because I've got no AC supply in this garage, what I've done is I've made a few of these. These are just two 9 amp hour lead acid batteries that I've taped together just to give it a bit more capacity. Made some leads to go on it. So basically what I do is I plug this into this umbilical lead that I've got, and that goes just to one of these cigarette lighter things, which I plug into this I've fitted here on the bike. Just a standard cigarette lighter, and I've also got here a voltmeter, so I can see now that I'm on 12.3 volts. That's just on the battery, so I can always see before I start the bike whether or not it's going to start. Basically, if it's below 12 volts, it's going to be touch and go. So I've got two of these that I've made. One I'll just leave on the floor in the garage, plugged into the bike. The other one is at home charging, and then every week, if the bike's laid up for a while, I just swap them round. They'll give it charged for at least a week. They're pretty good. It basically increases the capacity of the battery by about 20 amp hours, so it'll last a good week. And that is pretty much it for a bit of battery basics. So I'll let you get on with it. Thanks for watching. See you later. Safe riding.